This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Sean Preston.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Good Neighbor Podcast. Today, we have a lovely neighbor on with us, and that is Amanda Sutton of Catalyst Communications Choreography. What's going on?
Hey, Sean. Hi, everybody. Cool to chat with you. I'm excited. I'm excited to get into it today and talk about some marketing stuff.
Yeah, super pumped about it, and also happy I nailed that because I had about a 50-50 chance that I was going to botch the name. So I'm pretty happy with the way things
a
are
lot. It's a mouthful. You did great. You did great.
Thank you so much.
There's a reason behind it. There's a reason behind the name.
Do tell.
So Catalyst Communications Choreography. It's a lot, but choreography, part of my tagline is because marketing, it's not a straight arrow, it's a dance, right audience, right message, right time. So it's not exactly step by step, at least the way I do it. So it needs a little bit of a choreographer to jump in there and help people out.
Wonderful, especially since it's a topic that's it's so complex. It's not the most well-known amongst the SMB world. So as much education as we can bring to the table today, I think some people might have some good takeaways and maybe learn a couple things in this episode.
I hope so. Yeah.
So why don't we dive right into it? Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do, Amanda?
Absolutely. I'll summarize by saying the way I do marketing. Marketing is this huge umbrella, as you know, lots of offshoots of it. But I'm kind of in the business of making brands and businesses stand out. So not just through like exposure and where they're putting themselves, whether through the media or, their content getting seen, but through sometimes digging a little deeper and finding the nuggets that make them stand out. With a lot of noise, it's really hard for people. They struggle with standing out with all the noise. So a lot of that time it's sitting right there. It just needs a little sifting and sorting through to have them stand like, oh, I get it now. Get my why. I get why it should be me. So that's a little bit of how I approach it.
Right. So you're drilling down to the core and finding out from the business owner and saying, okay, so why are you different? Like right down to the core of helping them understand, like, why'd you come into business? Why should somebody buy from you? And differentiate them from all of their competitors who everybody's doing this. Hey, here's your free consultation.
Absolutely. I think where people get stuck, especially SMEs, is they just compete on price, they compete on their stuff. But getting them really to just be themselves, like loosen up and get them in a conversation about, what do you hate about this? What do you love about this? Why did you start in the beginning? And when I do it, I go way back, just because there's so many clues about who they are as people that they don't think can be a part of their business or their brand. I'll say brand, when in fact it is exactly the thing that makes them special. They just don't know how to say it or why that's important. And so really helping them understand, you know what, you can actually, instead of just market, I can put you into conversations about this. And then the light kind of goes on. They're like, oh, I can do that. Like I do have more to say on this, but I wouldn't know how to go about, getting that type of exposure.
Yeah. I mean, brand identity, once you can connect right down to your bare roots, I could put it into like a sports analogy, like a hockey team. If anybody ever watches hockey on the show, and you'll have a team that starts off and they're not playing that good. And then they can finally find their identity. Like, what's the makeup of their team down to the roots? Like, who do they mean and what do they mean to other people, i.e. their fan base? And then once that connection is made, all of a sudden they go into a deep run in the playoffs and they're unstoppable.
That's right. Yeah. Then they dig in, right? It's about building that trench, not covering this broad spectrum, like being known for something versus trying to be everything to everybody. That whole thing kind of drills down on that. Yeah. It's a great analogy. And then they hit it out of the park, right? Like they're off to the races. And then the confidence comes. You're not going to be confident in something. You're not going to want to talk about yourself if you have no idea what to say. It feels ick. It feels like inauthentic and just not right. So instead of pushing something just because, the marketing book says you should, figure that out. Like, let's go on this little journey. Let's have fun with this. Let's get you actually fired up about it first, and then go out and talk about it.
Yeah, the brand is who you are. It's, people take business and their personal life and they separate the two. But when you're fully integrated with your brand, your business is a part of your life, not the other way around.
Yes. And your personality, what you're mentioning is like your values are based in there. Like even the values we grew up with. Or I have a question. I do a brand, a personal branding workshop for nonprofits, but also for corporate clients. And what we walk each person through is just even common questions, like some things you heard growing up. There's 5 questions I walk them through, and each one seems completely unrelated to the business or anything to do with running their business, but it's telling us volumes about who they are and how they approach life, right? Like if you come up against those things, I always, my grandfather always say this, and it really bothered me, but it stuck with me. And I think that's why I'm kind of approaching things this way, or that's why I have this view over here. It's like, that's interesting. And that, let's go down there a little bit, because you could actually turn that into something positive about you. I always say there's no such thing as kind of criticism. There's only like feedback, and it's up to the person to choose how they want to take that feedback. You can hear someone, give you a description of yourself, and you can internalize it and beat yourself over the head with it and go, oh, that sounds terrible. I know I'm that way. Or you actually start to pull out the good things about that. Whatever it is, oh, you're bossy, or you're, kind of loud in the meetings. It's like, you know what? I'm not going to let those things shrink me. I'm actually going to think about why that makes me better at my business. And I'm going to use that in some ways. It gets fun. Yeah. Doing that personal branding journey with people too, for sure.
Oh, anything with the word branding in it. You know me, I'll be all over that. We are absolutely obsessed with that component to marketing and all of the importances between that, how it affects your business. It affects every single component to the funnel, the customer funnel, and help you differentiate yourself, like the purple cow theory.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
And everybody, you have 15 plumbers out there. They're all saying the same thing. All the painters are saying the same thing. I'll come in, free color consultation. What are we doing out there to stand out above everybody else, where when they see you, it's going to make a lasting, memorable impression the way you want to be seen.
Right. On that, it's funny. Sometimes when you talk to people, do you ever talk to people and you're like, dang, that's a good story. Like, what the heck? And they never think of talking about it. Like they've never thought that that's something they should actually put anywhere, anywhere in the world. I think about when people have a good story. And so I work in news media. So part of my background, coming from media studies degree, was going to go into journalism, decided not to, went into public relations, got that other behind the scenes about putting my clients in front, like news. So coming from that news content perspective about what's going to fly when you pitch an editor, what's going to fly when you actually have to go up against other experts, not just bid in the market and get attention, but you actually have to be selected among a group of why would your message matter more than others. So coming from that perspective, a lot of people, they have a lot to say. They have, you have a lot of experience. You have so much value to put out into the world, but it's just never been said concisely, and they don't know how, why their industry association would be interested in this. Why would a news person want to talk to me about this? Like the connection isn't made. So it's fun helping people also make those connections, because then your reach is, then you're really standing out as the authority. And that's part of the fun part of what I do too. So is the media relations aspect. But yeah, the stories are fun. The stories can be like really fun and key sometimes.
Yeah, this is something we've been recently learning a little bit more about it. You go back to the books, you go back to the information, who you follow, your mentors, all that stuff. Brand storytelling is not something that's often talked about by marketers, just generally speaking. And to your point, it's insanely important to be able to communicate that message. And some of the best messages, like when somebody's trying to make a point to somebody, everybody listening to the show right now is going to relate to this. At one point in your life, you've been talking to somebody and they were telling you that they were trying to make a point, and they told you a story, and that story resonated and made the point and you understood it better. It's the same concept, taking your story or the messaging component to what you want to tell, and you tell that story in an eloquent way, and that's going to make people remember your business more.
Right. Yeah, and you guys have done that too. I mean, sometimes it's just hard to find the words. So I'd say that's like the first level of the journey for sure. Getting the right getting the right words. So it's kind of fun. It's
So
really fun to go through that process with people.
When you work with a business, are you in for the long haul with them? Obviously, we're talking about branding. You help them with their messaging, and then it's this continuous, right? Because a business grows, the more you have growth, the more you have problems, and then new things come along the line, and the business will shaped and evolve. So you're with them in that long haul to continue to work on the messaging aspect and help them make sure that they're being seen from that perspective the right way.
Yeah, it's a great question. It can be both. If clients, people usually, the thing when they come to me, they can come through a couple of doors. Number one is, hey, we got this thing, we got this launch, right? Like this is our big thing. We want everyone to know about it. And hey, we thought of news, we thought of you. Let's get this a broader reach. So trying to pre-educate that, like, a really good launch takes like a few months of planning for news and whatnot, but that's cool. So sometimes it's just, we got the launch, get our face out there, get us on the podcast, and let's get people talk about this. We want the hit. If there's enough time though, in that first conversation, I think I can glean a sense of, my questions very much immediately go to the business. And in terms of, and this too, Sean, it's, well, what is, what's the business goals? Because without knowing where you want to be, there may be some other aspects of like how they can position themselves to get those other business goals that they want. And it all works together. So the message that they're working so hard on and paying, an expert to help them with just for the launch, it's worth taking a look and saying, all right, but going ahead this year, we need our message to make sense. We got customers that kind of don't know what we're doing, and it's a little confusion here. Maybe there's some internal struggles there. They slowly, sometimes if they're going to want longer term, they slowly realize that their message needs help. And sometimes it comes right from that perspective. We need a crisis plan. We need a reputation plan because this has happened to our brand over time and we need to steer the ship. And they know that that's going to be a little more involved. But absolutely, like, it's always fun to work with a company ongoing because you're in on all the meetings. You're just, that relationship is growing. You can, consistently help bump their visibility month to month. But by the time we do something, if we're coming in with like a plan, giving them that plan and showing them how to use it, it's also a tool that they can kind of come back to themselves. Like, we've given you the plan, we've given you the formula. You have the right people or tools to implement it. Just go do this, right? Go do this. And that's okay too. So it depends where they come in the door, right? Like what service. You'd be probably the same approach.
Yeah. So I'm trying to really make sure I fully get a grasp on this. This is something I think Jeff does really well. He asks like 10,000 questions, so I'm learning from him. Okay. So I'm the business. I'm having a message launch. We go through some of my other business goals, and then you put together a little plan for me, and we set the time frames for getting it all organized so that we can get that product off the ground, let's say. The actual messaging component to it, are you handling that as well too, or are you making the recommendations for the business on how we're going to do that?
Yeah, no, the messaging is huge. It's built into the plan. And we even segment it sometimes by socials. This is how it has to resonate on social. This is a thought leadership strategy where your CEO is going to be, in the meantime, you're going to be positioning yourselves over here on these types of channels. Because sometimes there's different depending on the goals of the business or where they need to be in the industry, and how big the company is. They might just want some local boost and just get some like hits, and it depends on their customer, their market as well, their target market, how their company interacts with, how their customers interact with them, where they need to be. But absolutely, the messages are key. So with the recent, so for recent client, for example, nonprofit, we had to kind of steer a ship on some reputation management stuff. It took about, going back at least a year or two to see what the tone over socials and in the media was. And once you assess that, you know where the gaps are. Here's what people think of you in small in easy terms, right? This is where it's at. Okay. This is where your people think it's at. Here's the gap. We need this to live and breathe here. But also don't remember, you had strategic values. So while we not only tell people what you want them to think of you, we have to make sure the values are still in line. Like, are you this? Do you feel this? It all has to be in alignment. And by the end of that process, they come out with these messages per audience that they're excited about, that they haven't been able to articulate before, that they can actually believe in, that they want to build programs and offers around. So the messages are everything. It sets the tone for how you operate your business internally and even the products and services you create, I would
Very,
say.
very detailed, very deep. I like it.
Very deep. Go deeper.
Yeah, no, it's nice. It's a
I
little
love this stuff.
insight glimpse into, like the thought process behind it, right? Because for most businesses, small businesses locally, there's so much to do. I got to do my bookkeeping.
I
I've got to
know.
hire staff. I've got to manage them, and
I
then it's
know.
not working out. So now I got to let them go, and am I past my 3 months
Yep.
with doing that? And then I've got to order product, and the list goes on and on and on. And so there's not a whole lot of extra mental room space to learn it, know where to learn it from, learn it right, and then do it on top of that.
You got it. I feel, well, I'm in that boat. You've been in that boat. We're juggling all the things. And especially in the beginning, I did have stuff. I had the agency, I had a small agency at one point. But nothing when you're talking of dealing with like overtime and hiring and contractors and being on a site, like so overwhelming. So, right. What we're talking about is kind of like when you have that capacity, when you actually have somewhat of a partner or maybe a leadership team that can help you think that way, or if everyone has this gut instinct, like we need to think longer about this. That's when that conversation can really happen. I would say in the scenario you're describing, listen, you just sometimes your head is down. You need the website up. I get it. Like we're not talking huge communication strategies at that point, but you will know. And I think the signs, that's a good point, Sean, is like the signs when you'll know when you should be playing in a bigger market is, well, even when you start your company, when you know what you do or how you do it is completely different. Like, and I know everyone says they're different. That's not what I'm talking about. In fact, it's like the number one, my number one pet peeve, or my, the thing about marketing is you can't compete on saying you're different, right? You have to start talking about putting yourself in a different category, and you have to start being the only and best solution in this category. Like it's this little deeper dive. So you can start your business that way and come out. A great example I use, okay, we'll talk Apple for a second. I don't even know if I can talk about them on this, but their Vision Pro came out with the Vision Pro. This is just one of recent example. And I referenced it recently, came out with their Vision Pro, but they will not call it a headset. It is not a headset. They're not in the headset category. They started talking about something different off the gate. So you'll never associate it with their competitors because it's Apple, because it's the Vision Pro and it's talking about a different. So they put themselves in a different conversation. They put themselves in a different category and started a new conversation. Now you can do that as a new business, 100%. Or you can just choose to be seen as the better, like the best, and look the best, right? But who else is doing that? Everybody. You could say you're better. Are they better? These have these 5 benefits. This company says they do these 5 things better. How will anyone get ahead if we're all competing on the same differentiators?
Yeah, I love this conversation. We follow Alex Hormozy. He says the riches are in the niches, and
Niches, that's my
that's
favorite.
yeah, that's not something that a
Yep.
lot of business owners put to mind. Think about as okay, well, I'm a painter, and so I paint residential houses, and all of my competitors are doing the same thing. So how can I niche down in my business to offer something? Because when you do that, you make it more valuable as well. And so when it's different and it's more valuable, then all of a sudden profit margins go up and you differentiate yourself over everybody else who's doing the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it's, you know, does it apply to every market? It can. Like, and it's a really fun game. Like, I'd actually love a podcast where like I just, get a brand or like a game show where I'm the contestant and they like give me a brand, give me an industry, give me a thing. And I'm like, here's how you can make it different. Like my brain just, that's how it works. It's annoying as
Nice.
hell. And people don't know. It's just how my brain works. I've always done it. I'm in conversations. I have to shut up before I just like blurt out what they should be or what they should do. I've learned that over time, but it's very fun to kind of see people light up like from the inside and be kind of blown away by like, oh my God, I didn't even think of that. That's right. But what you're bringing up is a good point, because when you're a new business or a small business, it is so scary to niche. So I don't blame like that either. Like it's scary. You are putting all your eggs in this very one basket. So here's the other part. If you don't know how to do it and you don't know how to sell it and you don't know how to keep that consistent, don't dabble. Don't say one thing and then you start to dabble because it gets scary. It's a bold freaking jump. It requires a commitment. And it requires, right, the right conversation. Like, can we do this? It requires a team that's all on the same page. And I promise you, you can if your team is on the same page. Like, it's just such a faster on ramp. But at the same time, I have empathy because these small businesses are like, man, I don't have that much to gamble with. And, I just know that I need the website and that's all I can think about right now. Or so I get it. I get where they're coming from and I get how much there is to think about. But again, I'll go back to like the indicators. If it's something keeping you up at night, if it's something bugging you about the way you're marketing, if it's like, God, I know we could be here, just have the conversation. Just have the conversation to see, trust your gut. We could be doing more here. Is anyone, to have those conversations with your team and ask yourself and them the tough questions. Don't build your brand in a bubble. Don't just be with you and your teammates and then you're looking at what everyone else is doing. Okay, we check the box. Are we on socials? Okay, we got the TikTok. Okay, we got the like who says you have to be on TikTok, Like maybe. But depends on the goals. Depends what you're trying to do. So, yeah.
Yeah, and for the what we were talking about before, I mean, like there's if you're not in the position to niche down right away, the only
Mhm.
difference here is time and speed, right? So
Mhm.
based on what you're doing, whether you're going to sit in the same boat you have and you're currently in a rowboat, as long as you just know that, then you're good. You're still going to move forward. You're just going to be in a rowboat versus getting into a motorboat or to a speedboat, depending on what you're
100%.
doing.
And listen, like, and what you're pointing out is so true. You, as the owner, as the leader of the company, you really are. You're dictating the pace and the tone, that's for sure. Listen, everybody has their own ideals of success and what that looks like too. No one's right. No one has to be doing XYZ or they won't be successful. No one has to be hitting certain numbers or has to be here or has to be and that's when we with our network groups and our peer groups and great conversations like this about people in the same industry, like get with people that also understand your industry to challenge the conventional norms of success. That's what I'm taking from what you just said, Sean. Anyway, it's like it has to be the right speed and dial, and this stage in a like this time more than ever we have to factor in that balance, that family balance, that life balance. Nobody wants anyone to burn out, although there's an entire coaching industry on it. So like you best believe there's money in it because of burnout, but you got to make the right decisions for you. How fast, how far, and why? Like really? So yeah.
Scaling through marketing, and you can also scale with processes and strategy and implementation there, but scaling
Definitely.
your business through marketing and having the right things in place is going to give you all that. It's going to allow
You
you
got it.
to be able to work more on your business. And not everybody, let me correct myself. Most businesses, they do a lot in the business, right? Minimum 7% a week in time on your business. If you're at 35, you're rocking it. And if you're at 50, you're doing even better than that. And that's going to give you and allow you to be able to start thinking about some of the stuff that we're talking about right now and have that vision forward for your business. Because if you're not working on your business and you're stuck in it, then you become a slave to it. And then that's where
100%.
you're burning the candle at both ends, and it's not going. You still stay in the rowboat, et cetera, et cetera.
Still stay in the rowboat. Yeah, you got it. Yeah. And on that scaling the marketing stuff, if anyone's listening that is thinking they got to do all the things from a marketing perspective, yes, I would absolutely agree and add on that. Get your marketing to scale with the goals you're setting. It's like, oh, now
Yes.
everyone's doing podcasts. Guess I got to do a podcast and be an influencer. It's like, first of all, do you have business doing, like, do we need it? Is it helpful, or is it just to check the box? And man, that'll alleviate a lot of pressure. Really thinking through your content and if the output is required. So the check boxes are different for everyone. Don't think you need X, Y, and Z because you started, or because you're having a launch, or because it's your first year in business. You need to be here, here, here. I think there's a lot of still chatter in the market about that. So I think people are still getting those messages, and often not from marketers. It's like other business owners who pipe in, and like, because they're doing everything, they recommend everyone should be doing everything. So we have to be aware of the voices of reason, right, coming into our space as well. So get some good, experts around you can bounce things off of.
100%. 100%. That holistic effect of marketing done right, it's not necessarily having TikTok or having a podcast in there, but there are certain ways to be able to do it. And then depending on what your goals are, that changes everything around. So when you're doing marketing, if you have marketers like us who are going to come and put something together for you, that's why it's tailored to your goals. And it's not a one size fits all, because everybody's got different industry, different goals, different bottlenecks in their business, and not all marketing works, but not all marketing is the right marketing, or a combination of
Got it.
certain things here or there.
Anything works if you like bang that drum hard enough and loud enough. Sure. You know what I mean? Like dump enough money into it. Something's got to resonate. But is that how we want our marketing to operate? No, it should feel effortless. It should feel fun. It should feel like it flows, like the investments are wise, like you're going in a direction. So kind of pay attention to, I'm getting woo woo now, but like kind of pay attention to that dance with your team. And if it feels right, it's a big part of it. It's a big part of it. Nobody wants to come up against a wall. Like every time you sit down, those people, like I have clients, like every time they sat down to do a social post, they would just freeze, like completely freeze. And then it starts ticking in their mind. Why am I doing this? What am I saying? That sounds dumb. Maybe I shouldn't. I don't even know if I'm good at this. It's just wild. So if that's happening, I would say if that's your red flag, and again, this is sometimes businesses have a team doing this on social and they have a little plan. But if it's you being the face of your organization, or if you're a consultant or a coach or a speaker or anything like that, and you're coming up against these huge roadblocks, then it's worth talking with someone to eliminate them, because it just might be emotional or motivational, and it might be actually something in your branding that actually it's a tweak that needs to be made. So you go, I get the connection now. Okay, now I'm excited to talk about this. So we come up against these little monsters in our day that we pay attention, figure them out, and usually things go a lot smoother from there, because it can be fun. Should be fun, right? Don't you think, Sean? It should feel fun to market your business. Yes? No?
100% going to work should be fun. How you feel about your baby should be fun. And how people
Right.
perceive what you built should be fun. And before I go on to the next question, because you'll get me, like, this is going to go an hour and a half podcast at the rate we're going here. Just, we
Uh-oh.
love this
Oh no.
conversation, this topic. The funnel, branding, touching everything, every component of your business, it gets touched by branding, with the exception of lead gen, which is right at the purchase decision. So let's call it 4 out of 5. But you have
Yeah.
awareness is always at the top of the funnel. So getting people to know who you are, that's super important, because if they
Yeah.
don't know who you are, they can't buy from you, right? You
That's
have
right.
competitors out there. Consideration's a big component to that. Getting down into deciding what their preference is, who they are as human beings, how do they feel about your business, and then building that trust over time. Because if you don't have their trust, not that they won't buy from you, but if you have their trust, not only are they going to buy from you, they're going to buy from you again, and they're going to tell all your friends that they're going to buy from you, or that they should buy from
Yeah.
you. It helps
I would
you.
actually agree with the first statement. If they don't have your trust, they won't buy from you. I think that still rings 100% true. There has to be trust on some level.
Yeah.
And yeah, I know you agree. It's just like the trust is it's a must. And you know, you mentioned funnels, man, people that just get their life sucked away in funnels is crazy. I'm all for them. You need them in certain cases. There are programs and offers and things that need a absolute direct funnel and website selling. You know, everything has to be. I'm sure you guys touched all that too. It has to be on lock. But the message, like when people I hear of these elaborate things that they're spending all their time building, and then I read their landing page, it breaks my heart. It actually breaks my heart that they have no idea that this is not the way that this is going to get someone's attention. And it's just um yeah. So I guess I just had to mention that. So the throughout the funnel and the trust, that's why I'm harping on this a bit. The trust is built from that first message. Yes, absolutely. The trust is built knowing your audience. You just obviously in the first steps there has to be an understanding of their needs and desires and what they're frustrated about and what they hate, so that you can tailor it. Yes, absolutely. But yeah, that trust is like from that first landing page. If they ain't buying it, they might click through again. You might get them to watch your webinar. You might get them on the call, just because they're either other just for different situations. But that purchase decision, especially if you're dealing with like a high-end purchase, uh it's like down to the call. You have to be consistent in um that trust factor right into the final stages of the sale, I guess is what I'm saying. So yeah, and trust is built over time. It's built in many different ways. There's so many windows to look in the business these days, like, so it is hard to not get distracted. But I always tell people it's like when it comes to social media, and I had a social media team. We built social media plans. I mean, I still do it and consult instead of not like, helping on their posts and stuff. But you have to have the plan in place because trust is built at every window. Like it doesn't matter where you come in, it has to be there from the beginning. Yeah.
Okay. So I want to ask you a
Mhm.
question.
Okay.
Everybody's got, you mentioned it a little bit, but I want a little bit more detail. I think our listeners do as well. Everyone's got their journey into getting into doing
Mhm.
what they're doing. So I'll short form the question. What was your journey? Tell us in detail your journey leading up to doing what you're doing today.
Totally. Um, I go way back, like everything else. Like I think my journey started you could say when you're little and you just know you kind of listen differently than other people or whatever. I had a performance background and that, kind of the speaking thing came from there. So you could say the seeds were planted, but I could go back and everything I did in terms of like either leadership or courses chosen or my degrees kind of all led me to this. It was a well, I have 2 degrees. I do have a music degree. I have a performance, vocal performance degree, which is cool. And I immediately knew also, trust your gut, that I wasn't going to do that per se forever, but there was something about business and something about the media as we were coming into the internet information age. It was very appealing, and just dove headfirst into another degree. And like I already said, it led to like this journalism. I don't know. I got a chance to be front of camera for something very, very early in my 20s. I said no. And I don't, at the time, you're not sure why you're turning down this incredible opportunity, but there's always a reason. So, said, no, I'm going to try a couple other things. And went into public relations and went to like business side, sat down with CEOs of companies. I actually physically brought them coffee back in the day, kids. And I wasn't texting them the appointment. I was calling their assistants and sitting down and bringing them a coffee. So a little bit of that gumption, I guess. That's an old word. So sitting down, but asking them questions. I didn't go down there and start talking about myself and, blah, blah, blah. I was learning. I literally was genuine going, I want to get in this industry. This is what I know so far. What do you do here? How would this help? What kind of clients do you go after? And they were like, if we had a position right now, I would give it to you. Like, so that happened. So we're rolling back, peeling back that authenticity piece. That was my agenda, is to learn. So that we're coming back to your sales moniker of that genuine, authentically wanting to help. And people always want to help, by the way. I think very embedded in people's human nature is they want to help. People on LinkedIn, your client, like they want to say yes to you. They want to help you. So just kind of take that forward into your business as well. What was I saying? So that's the journey. So got in there, built up, worked my way up, moved north for love, ended up in Simcoe. It was meant to be. I absolutely love it here. We're by Lake Simcoe in Oro, and decided, well, no one knows what branding is. This is a long time ago. No one knows what branding is. No one definitely knows what the hell PR is. Like what? And I'm like, okay. And the news stations are like closing down. It wasn't at the time, but I was like, there's enough to work with up here. So kind of educating, introducing people to these new concepts, learning how to like be a business owner myself. I had 2 Bambinos on each arm. I mean, I look back now, I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? But I did it. And all those things. That's what your 30s are for, right? Like just get her done. You have the energy, learn the lessons and all that. So did that. And that was Catalyst Communications Choreography. So that was the agency. Over time, I developed this just before COVID. I realized the industry was changing. I scaled back on the agency delivering for service for dollars type of thing. And I'm like, I need to go back into what I love, my original, the brain. I want people to pay me for my brain. I don't want to be paid per hour. I need to and I want to work with people and I want them to get it. So kind of going into that consulting mode, spent 2 years in a coaching role, leading coaching and training consultants and authors. It's in the US and Europe, but it was how to build their packages, how to build their offers, how to train, how to sell. Did that and then took that and combined it with the consulting. So I feel like I've landed at this place where I'm now having to do what I say to everybody else and step into my authority more, because with what I do, I put people in front of the news, right? Like it's not me. Like I'm telling them what to say and making them look damn good, but I'm not. No one says, "Oh, and thank you to Catalyst and Amanda for getting me this." Like no one's saying
Yeah.
that. Like that, if I've done my job well, you will never know I was there. Right. So try to go from that and then go, okay, well, then I also have some confidence to be able to step out. And then I was like, wait a minute, COVID, everyone's a guru. Hang on. It's not now. I'm not going to be part of that noise. I really have to figure out my own foundation, my own platform. So yeah. And I've come into this disruptive narrative marketing, which is my thing that I'm putting out loud now. And it's my thing. I have ideas around it. It's the whole concept we're talking about. It's this concept of getting people to understand they're not competing on differences. It's teaching them how to become thought leaders in their industry and how to actually change the conversation. That's what that is. So
Mic drop.
that was a long journey. I'm sorry.
Great. That was awesome.
It's a
Great
fun journey.
insight. I mean, hey, some people come on the show and it's like 2 minutes, maybe less, 1 minute, maybe less sometimes. I mean, it's why you're on here, so people can get an
I've had to
insight
put
into
the
who you
pieces
are. And
together. Yeah, I've had to put those pieces together, and it's like it's so clear to me. And I think there is a reason why everyone's where they are. Like if we spend some time chatting, I'd love to hear more about like stuff way back and then go, oh, you're kind of like this because of all that stuff that happened like when you were 20. And they're like, oh my God, I never even thought of that. Yes, that's totally me. That's why. And that's fun. So those are fun conversations. Yeah.
100%. Well, speaking of fun, we're going to get to that. Right before we get to that, give us a couple of misconceptions you get out there in your world.
Ooh, okay. I think marketing, the biggest misconception, I've kind of been saying it here, is that being better than your competitor is enough. Like if I'm getting more leads, if I'm blah, 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 like that should be enough. And that's only true until the next person comes around and finds a way to do that better, right? You're all still competing on the same 5 offerings or benefits or whatever. So brand success, I would say, is like, it's not about really the comparison, like trading stuff for stuff. It's about understanding your client's challenges enough that you're actually having a different conversation. I'll say it again. It makes you incomparable. So now you're not compared to service providers C, B, C, and D. You're the only one that does this, or you're really the only one that really truly understands this type of market, or whatever that is. And I know we're niching now, so it's like it's the scary thing, but more than niching, maybe there's an opportunity to step in the industry and be a voice there. Maybe there's a change in your industry. I work with a lot of healthcare professionals. Like they're sick and tired of what they're seeing, and they're really building these platforms based on those frustrations and desires, but they're getting a broader audience. They're able to step into it and have deeper meaning, larger audiences, because they were willing to have the deeper conversation. So now they're not just competing on what it says on their website, they're becoming thought leaders. So, the other thing about marketing, I wanted to quell people's, they also think that like PR or what I do, it's like, oh, I can't do that. Like I either don't look a certain way. And I hate talking about myself. Like you have to be the best. So saying you're the best and looking good, that is nothing to do with being, thought leaders. That's so, I don't know, it comes from that mentality, like 10, even 5 years ago, like that sales mentality. Like you just got the same spiel by the same person. You have to, so it's not about that anymore. And I guess the myth is like, there's room for everyone. There's room for your message. There's room for you to do it just like you, your way. So take that kind of narrative out of your head that it has to look and sound a certain way. I guess that would be another myth.
Authenticity is a really, really big thing. I mean, if you're just genuine and you do a really good job and you tell everybody about it, it's it's an easy strategy to find success. It's just sticking to it. That is
Sticking to it.
the problem.
And then other people are going to be telling you about it. That's the holy grail. It's the word of mouth. It comes after that. Because they'll know you're genuine. Yeah. Do you know those businesses? There's a couple businesses that I've heard of that, like, just it's people in the area going, have you been? They're so lovely. They just started, they tell their story and they just tell you. And I make my detour route on the way home or picking up my daughter to go in and make a purchase because of what I heard. So that's authenticity in its finest. Now, that's easier to do when you're Joe's Bake Shop, of course, and you're getting a local word of mouth. It's a little harder to do when you're trying to reach a very bigger ocean of fish. It's possible.
Well, and when it's good enough, your brand is out there and it's doing what it should be doing. It helps you attract more talent, helps you keep your clients. And like you said, it helps spread that word of mouth. So like we were saying before, every little detail about it, it's so important. And of
Yep.
course, which is where you really hone in, is making sure that that messaging and the positioning of
Mhm.
information is where it needs to be based off of those goals, so that business can get into a way faster boat.
You got it. Yeah. Love that boat analogy. Just keep rowing. Keep rowing with that one. I love it.
Well, and the other thing too, I mean, when it comes to marketing, you whatever boat you're in, there's holes in that boat. Everyone's got holes. We have holes in our boat. You got holes in your boat, and everybody listening, if they own a business, they have holes in their boat. And so if you can plug in as many holes as you have, you're going to go a lot faster on the water as well too. So
Yeah. I think
obviously,
where people run into the thing, they're like, what do I plug first? Right? There's what do I plug first? Which hole's the most urgent, right? They get
well, that's
confused about
where
that.
you're giving Amanda a call and saying, "Hey, can I sit down?" And that's where the consultation component of
Mhm.
what you do comes into play, and being able to sit down and information gather. You know, you were talking about sales before. I've been in sales my entire life, so I understand it quite well. I did it through the street smart component. I didn't go to school for it or anything like that, but you know, no one
Yeah.
wants to be sold to. You know, like you were saying back not too long ago, it was very kind of sales heavy. You know, if you're a business owner, when somebody's coming up to you, they're genuinely wanting to help you. There's an easy way to tell if they generally
Yeah.
want to, because they'll sit there and gather information from you to determine if they can help you. If they just come in and say, "Hey, so I took a look at your website there, and anything else I need to know," and then they whip open their laptop and go into a presentation, that's called peddling. That's not someone who's looking to help you, right? So there are ways to be able to figure it out, and it's
They might as
no,
well have a set of steak knives in there.
oh yeah, 100%, right under the door. Just do a desk pop.
Or the trench coat. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And can I say something? It kind of works the other way. So now we're getting into to fit. Now we're getting more the consulting side of things. If you're speaking with a business owner truly wants more, wants success, got it, heard you were the best, let's go. And you're doing your thing and you're asking genuine questions. You know, if the customer's trying to lead that conversation and tell you what's what, that should be a red flag too for all the consultants out there, all the agency out there, that you're there as the expert, and you're not there to be told, this actually took me a long time to learn, believe it or not. I'm like thinking of like, ooh, what would be one of my challenges? Whatever, as a younger woman, whatever you want to label, you want to put on things, it's like, ooh, that took me some time to be like, no. I know what I'm doing, and this is the way we're going to do things. And it's because I care. Trust me. Like, did you trust me already? Because you're here. Let me walk you through this. I promise it's going to go faster, better. Your mind will be blown. Like, it's those types of on the other end, the client, they need to kind of be bought into you too. So for me, it's kind of like the trust goes both ways, and you both need to feel good about it to really get far. And you just brought that up, so that just came to mind. Yeah, they should allow you to take them where you need to take them. Like, even in coaching, I'm getting somewhere, like, easy, like, okay, we're going somewhere. You won't know where we're going to be until you get there and you go, bang. So it's like, let the experts, if you trust and there's trust there, let the experts do their thing. It's going to be so much easier. It's going to feel so much better. It's going to be such a great experience. Yeah. Just wanted to throw that in.
So when we first got on, before we came on the show, there was a pretty instant connection between me and you. I think you're pretty laid back. You seem like you're a lot of fun. I like to have fun. And it's a great question that we get to ask on the show, because we get to actually know what people like to do outside of what they do in their business.
Boy.
So why don't you share with us, when you're not helping business owners on the branding side, making them look good, helping them grow their business, what does Amanda like to do for fun?
I love it. I love this question. I love hearing people's answer to this question. A lot of people say they're dogs. So she's not in here. Darn it. I would have brought her on. I have a French bulldog. Oh my gosh, these dogs are fun. And
I
they
love
think they're
Frenchies, man.
humans. They're Frenchies. Oh my God. So they think they're human, and we laugh because of the way we love her so much. So it's a constant source of like ridiculousness in the house. So get a dog if you don't have one. I'm outside. Outside is like everything to me. If I can get on my bike in the morning before anyone talks to me, or I do anything or put anything in my body, it's a great day. So like running to the outdoors. Like if I'm stressed, I will run outside. I won't actually run. I hate running, but I will run outside and do something out there just to calm me down. And then the more ridiculous is like singing. So I've inherited, my daughter's 13. So she's kind of inherited my theater performance background, my singing. Love that. Like make no mistake, but she's like really into it. So we constantly are, just at the top of our lungs. Like we don't care who's listening in the car. We'll just musicals all day. She introduces me to new concept, albums and things like this. And we just belt it out. And I think there's something just very cathartic about that. I know that from years of singing, just the act of just doing it. So if you're not doing it, do it. Do it in the car, do it in the shower, sing wherever you can. I think you had a choral director on here recently. So I don't know how deep he got into that, but gosh, there's something so healing about it. And I think especially for teenagers, I'm very big on family and children development is a, side interest, passion, just very passionate about. So I think if you could get your kids in musical theater as early as possible, do it. Wonderful programs in Barrie, wonderful programs in Aurelia. Keep these programs alive. Keep them in our schools. Don't stop these programs at grade 3. Keep them going to grade 8. These children need this. These teens actually need stuff like this. And we need art and we need theater to take us out of our everyday monotony and show us that things are possible and that it is okay to feel. That's my PSA for theater and art and singing. So that's what I love to do.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, we got a 3.5-year-old Australian Shepherd. His name is Jax. He's oversized. He's like 67 pounds. And then we have a little Chihuahua, and his name is Rambo. He just turned 6 yesterday.
Oh my God. And they're best friends?
So Rambo was my fiance's, Julie was hers, and then Jax was mine. So then when we all got together, Rambo wasn't the biggest fan because he had been attacked when he was like 2 or 3. He got attacked by another dog, so the trust just not there. But time, like everything, it heals it. He's really, really good with Jax. Sometimes we get these moments where they're laying down together, like almost snuggling. It's like you never see that. And then at the second you go for the phone and you're bringing it up, and then all of a sudden they know you're doing it. They're like, I'm out of here. Come on.
They're too smart. How long have they been like together? Like have they grown up together? Or
No, they've been together for a year and a bit.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it could still churn. The tide could still change.
Yeah, so that's always fun, going out there, getting out, being active. I'll be doing a lot of traveling. I've done some traveling. I wouldn't say I would be like this, like avid, like let's go. We're gonna do a trip every year.
Let's climb a mountain.
But I mean, look, you get married once. Some people a little bit more than that. I'm planning on just doing it once. So we're gonna go on the honeymoon. Like, let's go big or go home here. So Malta,
where'd you go?
then Rome, then Sicily, up to France, Normandy. Check out the World War II stuff. Check out the museums. Eat all the food. Possibly Spain, if we can add it in there.
How long? How long are you gonna go?
So we're getting married June 7th, and then we're leaving on the Monday. Get married on Saturday, leave on the Monday. Don't come back till July. See you later.
So almost a month.
3 weeks.
3 weeks to a month.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, do it. It's so easy once you're there. You will be surprised that most of Europe, if you're not going to the super, super popular spots, it's so easy to live there. And the prices of Canada, you'll be like, what's up, Canada? It's cheaper over here in Europe. Like I almost refuse to like shop and eat here now because you can do it over there. And it's like it's reasonable and you're getting that quality, then you come back home and the demand is just so outrageous for everything. You're like, oh, these are like Geneva prices. This is kind of crazy over here, Canada. What's going on? So I think when you're there, yeah, eat all the things. Oh my gosh.
That's the
And
plan.
do all the things. And you'll be together. And then you'll have all this. You can figure out where to go. And it's going to be very romantic for you. It's awesome.
Yeah, we got a travel agent on board so she can help us, give her all the goals. This is everything we want to do. And she's just going to build it. And it's like, yes,
Nice.
give me the itinerary.
Ooh.
Let's go.
You should have a travel agent on the show if you haven't already, and then just like go crazy with all these ideas and use your trip as an example. That would be super fun to listen to, actually.
So I had Eleanor Daff from DT Travel.
Oh, good. That's the one I was thinking of. She's the one I was thinking of.
And I did her podcast. And then we sat down after and got to know each other. And now she's coming out to our networking events. And now I'm using it for my honeymoon. So it's
awesome.
Wonderful.
There you go. Perfect. Enjoy.
So in life, we pick this path, right? This path of life. We decide to walk down it, and then life gets in the way. Life isn't easy. It's beautiful, but sometimes we'll experience things, hardships, obstacles, sometimes tragedies. And I've always been fascinated with human beings, right? Their ability to be able to overcome these hardships. Growth happens through struggle. I like to call it the phase of suck. But coming out of that and having the right mindset is everything. Being able to see that glass half full and move forward, right? Because we have to move forward in life. So I wanted to ask you, have you ever experienced a hardship, a life challenge that maybe you overcame, maybe it made you better, maybe it made you stronger?
Yeah, I think our struggles always make us better. Our mistakes are always an opportunity for growth. I've been super blessed. I have a support network around me, and a partner that's there. I mentioned earlier, just it's not a hardship at all. I think just kind of like the unexpected thing that came up was starting a family and a business at the same time. So in terms of, more struggle, not hardship, but building something from scratch and then building humans from scratch. I don't think at the time when you realize you're in the struggle, which is very interesting. I don't know if most people here would agree. When you're in the struggle, you just know you have to get through it. It's just something you do. You put your head down and you just get from day to day. Then when you look back, you have this 360 view that you can kind of go like, oof, wow, okay, how did I do that? Or I don't think I could do that today if I had to go back. But I think when we're in those hard times and those dark times, it looks worse from the outside than it is for the person maybe going through it. Because we all know what has to get done. We kind of at the same time know what has to get done. Just to kind of expand on that a bit, I think it may be exacerbating things, the amount of channels we have to express our hardship today, which is perhaps providing this platform of, owning it a little more. But I think, when at the end of the day, when you're in it and your head is down, the lessons come later. In other words, like when you have perspective and you've come out and seen a little light, it's easier to know like what I would do different and all that. So, that's about it. I mean, listen, we're always life happens. And whether there's like a diagnosis in the family, my kids are very well. My husband did, have a diagnosis. He's a firefighter. So aside from that, I mean, there's a lot of good out there. Like there's different things. You have to pick up the balls sometimes when other ones drop in your life. But then sometimes, there's other balls to juggle where you have the support system to help you when you're dropping the balls. So it's like, I think I've had a good enough team around me and been very blessed. So struggles for sure. Hardship, hope not. Knock on wood. Hopefully that's not in the cards. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us. We appreciate the openness. It's hard for people to share. I mean, generally speaking, they don't want to. You leave your house every day and you put the shield up, and you only usually lower the shield when you're around close family members, parents, friends, besties, stuff like that. and
Mm-hmm.
just getting to know people, having vulnerability. It's a great way to build trust with people. It's to say, hey, I'm human, just like you. Gone through some things, just like you. I'm out there to help people, just like you. That's what it's all about. What's one thing that you wish our listeners knew about your business?
Knew about my business. That wish they knew is I was thinking like, I don't think that something I don't talk a lot about is the coaching experience I have. It's just, once again, pick your lane. So many messages. It's like you really have to focus when you're building a thought leadership strategy. You really have to focus on what you do. So, but I think what they'd be interested to know, or at least businesses would be interested to know, is when you're a good coach, you're asking the right questions. When you're able to kind of get to a CEO, get a CEO on the same page faster. Meetings run smoother. Sales calls are easier. You're able to navigate people and teams a lot better. So I think having that skill set is probably something. I mean, it's definitely not on my website, right? Like, you can only put so much on a website. Um, you're generously sharing my socials, but you only get that snapshot of what you think they can help you with. Like, I think and I like to say, nothing good happens outside of a conversation. You're not going to know what I can do for you unless, you're able to really hear how I'm thinking about it and relay if I understand it well enough to be the solution you need. So I think that there's an element of coaching in the last 3-4 years to me that have actually become a bigger part of my business since you asked this question than I realize. So it's nice to be asked because I haven't articulated that before. And you have a realization when you're given a chance to sit down and articulate something. So yeah, I think that's something that would be cool and very beneficial for people to know. Does that count? Were you
100%.
hoping for a cooler answer? I don't think that was a very fun answer, but that's.
I think that
And I
was a
do a lot
great
of charity
answer.
work. I don't talk enough about, but I'm a mentor, charity out the wazoo. Like I have always had, um, of course, as lots of our businesses do. Very interested in giving back and have always done so. Maybe not as vocally, but that lights me up as well. So yeah.
Yeah, to answer your question, yes. I mean, you basically said, thank you for asking that question because you made me realize that, yes, this part of my
Oh,
business has now, it's a
see?
little bit larger and it does have a component to it. Like, like on our business, we do some coaching. It's not like crazy, like full on coaching, but, we have enough business acumen to be able to guide somebody. So when you're saying, it's like, yeah, you have that, you probably have that more than we do and have a good background in it. So yeah, it's a component of your business. Is it one of your main things, but does it make you more valuable when you're working with a business? Yeah. And thanks
100%.
for asking me the question, by
100%.
the way, because I now understand the value of what that is. And I think we can
Mm,
implement that in little places here or there to make my product more valuable when I work with
there you
people.
go. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Full circle.
So there you go. Okay. Well, look, this was an awesome conversation. You indulged me and tickled the carrot in front. Get up
Yeah.
here and talk about some really, really cool stuff. I hope some
Very
people took
cool.
some value. I think they really
I hope
did.
so.
And it
Yeah.
was great to be able to get to know you as a human being. That was a really fun show. I
You
know
too,
that there's
Sean.
going to be some people who are going to be interested and wanted to reach out, know a little bit more, and maybe go through that consultation with you to be able to ask some questions and watch that hamster wheel in your brain start spinning
Yeah.
on their behalf. So for those who
And
are,
my face can't hide anything. So I've been told you just know what I'm thinking at every single moment. So there's
yeah,
no, the veil is down. Yeah. But they can find me on my website, catalystcc.ca. Yeah, catalystcc.ca. LinkedIn is great. That's a lot of like thought leadership stuff, and just get a good snapshot. I'd say is LinkedIn first, and then like head to the website. And LinkedIn's just Amanda Sutton, and yeah, I mean Instagram if you want, Catalyst CCPR for some more fun stuff. But I think that would be great. Thank you for letting me share that. That's great.
no worries. Well, awesome conversation again. Um, we wish you all the best in what you're doing.
Thank you. You too. This was awesome. We will continue talking for sure with Jeff as well. I'd love to meet him one day.
You rock. Have a good rest of your week, good rest of the calendar year, and all the health and happiness to your family.
Thanks, John.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Midhurst. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpmidhurst.com. That's gnpmidhurst.com or call 705-413-3775.